Hello people on the internet, I am back with a new Plan With Me video for the month of September. Last month I didn't do these transition pages and I kind of missed them, so that's why I'm doing them again this month. It's also really just a nice way for me to practice different types of typography and have a clean break between the months. The theme I'm going for this month is a neutral pastel theme. I know a lot of people are doing fall themes and colors, but I really dislike everything about fall, except maybe for the fact that there are fewer bugs around. And also last month I used quite a lot of primary colors and it looked very fallish to me, so I really just wanted to have a pastel theme again. The timeline of this video reflects the way I set up my journal, so it's rather random and like I've mentioned before, I work in layers going back and forth between the pages, so it might seem a little bit messy, but I wanted to keep the process as authentic as possible. The monthly spread is quite simple and spacey. I noticed that I don't really use the notes section or any other section like goals or etc. So I made sure the calendar is big enough for me to write something in there and left out any other sections. For the title of my habit tracker spread, I used some packaging paper, that's literally what it's called in German, and doodled a little around it and glued it in. And I also cut out a couple of habit trackers on graph paper and glued them on another sheet of paper to give the page more diversity and texture. Since I also made a mistake while freehand drawing a habit tracker, I covered that up with washi. I don't really use many habit trackers, and I think it's important that you figure out for yourself if you want to use habit trackers and if yes, what you want to track. And if you're just a beginner, I think it's best to start with weekly habit trackers to test out whether you like the idea of tracking something or not. Last month I made this study plan and I really liked it, so I made another one for me to track my progress, but slightly changed the design. I wrote the header with a Tombow brush pen and went over it with the felt tip side of it to make it darker and more prominent. Next, I created a YouTube ideas and planning spread, and I started out by making some thought bubbles, and while those were drying I glued in a sheet of wrapping paper to make the spreads and pages in general seem more spacey and not too crowded, and I also added a quote on packaging paper. I really like the idea of having like break pages in between spreads because last month's spreads, in my opinion, were a little too crowded, so I'm really excited to try this out. I kind of restricted myself to only having 6 YouTube ideas this month with the thought bubbles, but I'm sure if I, shall come up with more ideas, I can add a sticky note or figure something out. Moving on to my weekly spread, I decided to try out something new but simple at the same time again. I got inspired by Ink by Jeng, who has an amazing Instagram account that I will link in my description box. And also, while talking about description boxes, I will also list everything I used in this video down there, so make sure to check it out. There is also going to be a link to a free September calendar printable that I made for you guys. Self-promo, yes. After erasing the pencil guidelines, I'm just adding more details to the transition pages. And I started writing the days with my Tombow Fude pen, but it wasn't really having a good day and ghosted like crazy. So I switched to a Pentel, or Pentel? I don't know how to pronounce it. Pentel Fude pen. Then I added more decoration to the monthly spread while also trying to keep it simple. And also recently I've been really into smaller dots doodles. I don't really know how to describe them, but yeah, I also added that or those around the headers as well, or not around the headers, but around the header. And the pictures I'm using are all from Tumblr, so I will also have the artists linked in my description box as well, and I also asked them for permission. Then I added a simple social media growth tracker, which I thought could be interesting for me to go back to at the end of the month. And I also started experimenting with different washi tapes and adding more pictures. Next, I added drop shadows to the headers to make it stand out more. And while coloring in the boxes, I realized for the first time, surprisingly, that the Pentel Fude pens are not waterproof. But by that time, I had already started coloring in the boxes, so I had to, just go with it. I used another wrapping paper to create a color-blocked look for the weekly spread. And the green I'm using here is, I wouldn't say really pastel-y, but I think it still goes with the theme of, neutral and pastel. I don't really know. Just do whatever you want. And now I'm just adding more details to the spread, and I'm trying to make everything just look more cohesive and put together. I then also added study boxes to the daily boxes because I like to track my study progress in more details during the week, and these boxes have really worked well the past month. So yeah, why not incorporate them again this month? And that's basically it. I really like how this month has turned out, and after filming this, I actually made some changes. For example, I added some more doodles and pictures, and this is something that I always do after filming because when I film, I'm kind of really rushed and I don't really have time to really think about what I want to put somewhere. So I kind of add these little details afterwards, and I just thought, why not show you guys? And I also changed the bubbles to make the page look more neutral because it was a little too colorful for me. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon, hopefully. Bye bye!